You've done this before. You made the decision. You were serious this time. You had the plan, the motivation, the whole thing mapped out. And for a while it worked. 2 weeks in, you were proud of yourself. And then somehow, without even a dramatic moment of failure, you were right back where you started. Same habits, same excuses, same you. Here's the truth almost nobody tells you. That's not a willpower problem. It's something far deeper. And once you see it, you can finally break the loop for good. Let's start by killing the biggest lie in self-improvement. The lie is that you failed because you didn't want it badly enough. That's nonsense. You wanted it. You still want it. Wanting was never the issue. If desire alone were enough, everyone would already be exactly who they wanted to be. So what actually pulled you back? Here's the real mechanism. Your brain is a pattern-running machine. Its main job isn't to make you successful. It's to keep you efficient and safe. And the most efficient thing it can do is repeat whatever you've already done thousands of times before, with as little conscious effort as possible. Those repeated patterns aren't just habits. They're grooves, deep ones. Every time you've reached for your phone when you felt anxious. Every time you've quit when it got hard. Every time you've told yourself you'll start Monday. You carve that groove a little deeper. And now it's so deep that under any pressure, you slide right back into it without deciding to. That's why change feels fine for 2 weeks and then collapses. For 2 weeks, you're using conscious effort to stay out of the groove. But conscious effort is expensive. And the second life gets stressful, tiring, or busy. Your brain reverts to the cheapest path available, the old pattern. But here's where it gets interesting because there's a second force at work, and it's stronger than the first, your identity. Deep down, you carry a story about who you are, not what you want to be, what you actually believe you are. And human beings are wired to behave consistently with that story, even when the story is hurting them. If somewhere underneath everything you believe you're the kind of person who starts things and doesn't finish them, then finishing something creates a strange internal friction. It doesn't fit, and your mind will quietly, invisibly, steer you back toward the version of you it recognizes. This is why people who lose weight often regain it. Why people who come into money often lose it. Why someone can get the opportunity they dreamed about and then sabotage it in ways they can't explain. The outside changed faster than the inside did, and the inside always wins eventually. So the question isn't how do I force myself to be disciplined? The question is how do I change what I believe about myself? And here's how you actually do that. Not with affirmations, with evidence. Your identity was built from evidence. Thousands of small pieces of it, collected over your whole life. Every time you kept a promise to yourself, you deposited proof that you're reliable. Every time you broke one, you deposited proof that you're not. Your self-image is basically the running total, which means you don't change it by declaring something new. You change it by making deposits. So here's the first principle. Make the promise small enough that failure is nearly impossible. I know that sounds weak. It isn't. You're not training the task. You're training the identity. 5 minutes of the thing beats an hour you'll abandon by Thursday. Because the point isn't the 5 minutes. The point is that you said you'd do something, and then you did it. That's a deposit. And 100 small deposits rebuild a self-image that a single dramatic gesture never will. Second principle, change the environment, not just the intention. Willpower is a terrible long-term strategy because it runs out exactly when you need it. But your environment works around the clock without getting tired. If the thing that triggers your old pattern is within arm's reach, you will lose that fight eventually. Not because you're weak, because you're human, and you're making the game harder than it needs to be. So make the old pattern harder to fall into, and the new one easier to start. Move the phone to another room. Put the thing you need out where you'll see it. Remove one step from what you want to do and add one step to what you don't. Small friction changes outcomes more than motivation ever has. Third principle, and this is the one that saves people. Change how you handle the slip, because you will slip. Everyone does. And here's what actually destroys progress. It's not the slip, it's the story you tell yourself about it. Most people miss one day and think, There it is, I knew I'd fail, I'm the same as always. And in that moment, they don't just lose a day. They confirm the old identity. They make a deposit in the wrong account. The people who change are the ones who miss a day and treat it as a single data point instead of a verdict. They get back to it the next day without the drama. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice starts rebuilding the groove. So the only rule that really matters is this: never miss twice. Now let me give you the mindset that ties this all together. Stop asking yourself what you should do. Start asking who you're becoming. Every single choice, no matter how small, is a vote, not for a result, for an identity. When you do the hard thing, you're not just completing a task. You're casting a vote that says, this is the kind of person I am. And you don't need a unanimous result. You just need to win the majority over time. That's what breaking a pattern actually looks like. Not a dramatic transformation. Not a rock-bottom moment that changes everything. Just a slow shift in the evidence, until one day the old pattern doesn't fit you anymore, and staying out of the groove stops taking effort at all. You were never lacking willpower. You were fighting a story about yourself with nothing but good intentions. Change the evidence and the story changes with it. But most people miss this. Your life doesn't change when you feel ready. It changes when you start creating proof. The person you want to become is built in small moments nobody sees. Every time you choose progress over comfort, you prove that the old pattern no longer controls you. Choosing the book instead of scrolling, choosing the workout instead of another excuse. Keeping a promise when it's hard builds trust with yourself. Small choices shape your identity. Over time, discipline becomes natural. You don't need more motivation. You become the person who follows through. One small promise creates evidence, and evidence changes who you are. And once your identity changes, your actions start changing with it. The life you want is built one small decision at a time. If this video made you look at your habits differently, subscribe, because we break down the psychology behind the patterns that control your decisions, discipline, and future. And before you leave, comment one small promise you're making to yourself this week. Make it specific, make it realistic, make it something you can prove. Because the person you become tomorrow is built by the promises you keep today. And if you want to understand why your brain keeps pulling you back into old behaviors, watch the next video on your screen. It reveals the hidden pattern behind self-sabotage and why knowing what to do is never enough. I'll see you there.